I'm Greg Hunter. This is the weekly news wrap up 201 for July 31st, 2015. The deeper Congress digs into the deal to curtail Iran's nuclear program, the worse it looks. When Secretary of State John Kerry, the key negotiator in the deal, he's been testifying in front of Congress, when he was asked about these side deals, these not-so-secret side deals that Iran has with the UN, and who knows how many other side deals there are. Secretary of State John Kerry reportedly said, or actually I heard him say it, he says, yeah, I don't have access to them. What? Excuse me. You are the lead negotiator as Secretary of State for this deal, which has been going on a couple of years at least. And you don't know what's in key side deals between Iran and the inspectors at the UN? You don't know what's in them? I find that preposterous. Now, either he's not too smart or he's not being totally truthful. He knows what's in them, and it ain't good, and he doesn't want to be the bearer of bad news. He wants to gloss over this. Kerry also says that this deal must be passed by Congress, and he says, and I quote, I'll read it to you, our friends in this effort will desert us. Well, not according to a top French diplomat. His name is Jacques Audibert, and he is a senior French diplomatic advisor and in on the deals to negotiate this Iran curtailment, this Iran nuclear curtailment by Iran. And he is contradicting Kerry. He's saying that if Congress votes this down, it may not be too bad. May not be such a bad thing. Oh yeah, some people will be mad, they'll gnash their teeth and they'll saber rattle, whatever. But he says that ultimately it may be a way to that we could get a better deal. That's what this senior French diplomatic advisor says. That if Congress votes it down, we could get a better deal. And the narrative by the president is this deal or war, and that's not the narrative, and not the narrative that this French diplomatic advisor is saying. He says, it's this deal or a better deal, and that's what we're talking about here. And it's very unnerving to also have people in Congress ask Secretary of State John Kerry, hey, what about this death to America? They're chanting death to America, and I believe them. Oh, what do you say about that? And of course, John Kerry says that he doesn't know of any plan that they actually want to do that. Well, what really? Meanwhile, the Iranians are saying once again the Obama administration is lying. Yes, the Obama administration is lying, and this is coming out of top Iranian leadership, saying that they are misleading the Americans about the deal so they can, quote, calm opponents in Congress and Zionist lobbyists. To calm opponents in Congress. And that's why they're lying. And the Iranians, I got to tell you, they've been very consistent. I mean, back when they said, the president was lying before, looks like the Iranians were righter than he was. Also, the Iranians say, hey, listen, there's nothing ambiguous about this deal. And what does that mean? They've been saying all along, you're not going to inspect our nuclear sites for military. You're not going to get our military nuclear sites. I can inspect that. Also, when the sanctions come, we want our money and the sanctions are off. And what are they doing? We put 5 to 8 year sanctions for missiles and conventional weapons. And they're saying, forget that. We're going to start importing, buying, exporting, importing conventional weapons, missiles, whatever we want. That's over, and we want our money. They've been very, very consistent. I have to hand it to the Iranians on this point. And this is the problem that the president has. He's had all these lies, one lie after another about you pick a subject and you name it and there's a lie to it. And nobody trusts him. The Iranians don't trust him. Our allies don't trust him. The people mostly don't trust what he says, period. He doesn't have any truth capital left. And so, the only question with this whole deal, the Congress has 60 days to debate this and inspect this and look into this deal. And I suspect they're going to find that a lot of ugly, messy details that are going to make this deal very hard to vote yes for, even for Democrats. And I think that they will get a no vote on this deal, and there will be Democrats that will vote no with Republicans. Then the only question is going to be, do they have enough votes to override a presidential veto, which Obama will surely give? That's going to be the only question. And we'll see. They've got 60 days. They're going to have a recess, and they'll be back to do more inspection and more looking into this and debate on this whole issue, and we shall see. In the Middle East, Saudi Arabia's reaction to this deal is to ask for more Patriot missiles. Yes, they want 600 Patriot missile helicopters. The deal's reportedly worth about $5 billion. Also, it's reported that this is just the first in many deals, many requests by our allies in the Middle East, Arab allies in the Middle East. You know, they are arming up, and this has been my contention from the very beginning, that this deal is not going to stabilize anything. This deal is not going to put Iran on a back burner. That's not what they're saying. They've been very consistent, again, that it's going to destabilize things, because the Middle East, which already had a pretty quick pace of arms race going on, that this arms race got kicked into hyperdrive. And I think it's conventional and behind the scenes nuclear arms as well. And this hyperdrive of arms race is going to speed the prospects of war in the Middle East. And I hope I am wrong. But this has been my contention. It's not what I wish for. I want to make that clear. I don't wish for this. It's what I think is going to happen given the tales of what's been coming out. And news stories are backing that premise up, that the pace of arming up and militarizing the Middle East is increasing, not decreasing. Therefore, the chances of war in the Middle East will increase exponentially. The spin doctors of the economy, the GDP, they say that the GDP is, in the first quarter, it's revised up to 0.6%. It started out at negative 0.7%, but it's, wow, I guess that poor winter wasn't so hard after all. It was up 0.6%. Second quarter supposedly been revised to 2.3%. That's what they think it'll come in at. And, I don't know how they account for the nearly a little more than 7% decline in new home sales. This is according to John Williams. John Williams also says, hey, listen, the durable goods in the second quarter just plunged. It plunged at the fastest pace since the economic crisis of 2008. And whether it's quarter over quarter or year over year, the trend is clearly down. Where did they get this growth from? Who knows? But listen, I think we're reaching a fork in the road economically. And this is just me talking by all the people I've interviewed, especially Nomi Prinz and Paul Craig Roberts, two heavyweight financial people in the know who have been behind the scenes at big banks and also at Treasury. It's Paul Craig Roberts. Nomi Prinz is a big banker, was formerly at Goldman Sachs, pretty high up banker. And they both say the same things. If they raise rates, the market's boom, down, gone, done. And they also both say it's unsustainable. Now, the fork in the road is, if they raise rates, then they intentionally want to crash the economy. And if they don't raise rates, when is everyone going to go, ha, tee-hee, they're never going to raise rates? Either way, either road we take at that point, where they say, they're never going to raise rates. Then does the dollar destabilize? Do we have massive inflation? Do people start selling bonds if they know they're never going to raise rates? I mean, when they call BS on the BS? I think that's where we are in the fork in the road. And I think here's another major tell, and I got this out of Paul Craig Roberts, and it just made me think, he said, listen, what they're doing in the gold market is fraudulent. You can't have declining supplies and increasing demand and declining prices. It's fraudulent. You can't have that. You can't have that. It won't happen unless somebody is committing fraud. Okay, so you have, a huge demand. And the money players are saying, hey, I just want the metal. It's about possession. I don't care about the price. Just give me the metal. I mean, they had record coin sales at the U.S. Mint in both silver and gold eagles in July. And they shut down the selling of silver eagles because they ran out of blanks. They couldn't fill the orders. In a 2-day period, one of my commenters on the site, Lewis, wrote me and said, wow, they sold 10,000 gold eagles in 2 days. So, that this tells me that the money players aren't caring about the price. They know it's manipulated. They know they're driving the price down, but all they want is possession of the metal. And I think that fact, in the face of declining prices and massive rigging and manipulation, that fact, people trying to get their hands on the metal, is a big tell. Next up, the South China Sea is heating up. I don't have a lot to say about this, but you remember they built an island out of sand in the middle of the South China Sea. They claim 600 miles of open water that is supposedly international waters, and the U.S. continues to put patrol boats in there, fly flights over this area, this big, large area in the South China Sea, and China is chafed by it. They're angry by it. They're upset. One of the Chinese defense spokesmen said they wonder if the U.S. wants nothing more than chaos, end quote, in the South China Sea. So this is heating up in the South China Sea. No other news other than the fact that it's not fixed. If you haven't heard about it, but it's not going away. Finally, I got to tell you about the USA Today newspaper. I've been dogging them for 3 weeks. I mean, call them on the phone, tell them who I am, Greg Hunter, USAWatchdog.com. I would like somebody to come back, leaving voicemails, leaving messages, calling people. Sent an email earlier this week. I finally got a response from USA Today, the newspaper. And it's from Brent Jones, standards editor at USA Today. And he wrote me back and he said, to be clear, because my premise was, hey, listen, you're burying the story. It's not been in the newspaper. I read the newspaper every day. I'm a subscriber. It has not been in their flagship enterprise, the USA Today newspaper. It has not been in there. We're talking about the allegations and 4 videos of gruesome details of negotiating deals for baby parts, including allegations of infanticide. And, they don't have room in the newspaper for that, but hey, they got room for the killing of Cecil the Lion. This is their main enterprise, the USA Today newspaper. This was yesterday's newspaper. They have room for that. They did a big story. They did a whole big fold-out story on this deal. Cecil the Lion. They put a reporter on it. They got quotes. They got maps. But in the newspaper about this Planned Parenthood allegations about negotiating deals for baby parts and dissecting babies in 4 different videos, and each video has on it medical doctors in high-ranking positions that are able to negotiate what appears to me the sale of baby parts. Now, Planned Parenthood says that didn't happen. That's not happening. They haven't done anything wrong. They totally deny it. They say it's an attack on women. But then he goes on to say, he says that, dear Greg Hunter, USA Today has in fact covered the controversial video and claims made against Planned Parenthood, as links below support. Now, he sent me links to the site. Now, it is not in the newspaper. It is not in, it has not been, it may have been in an op-ed piece, but op-ed doesn't count. It is not in the USA Today newspaper, which I read every day. I mean, here's the front page of the USA Today for yesterday. Here it is, and there's nothing here on it. There's a talk about the Malaysian airliner, but this has been a huge story, a huge, massive story, and it's a bigger story than Cecil the Lion. And he says he sent me 11 links. Now, mind you, I've been going after these guys for 3 weeks. Call them on the phone. Of the 11 links he sent, one was to Planned Parenthood from a couple of weeks ago. Planned Parenthood president denying the claims that the first few videos were making. That's one of the videos. So they didn't really do that story. They just posted her on making a denial. They posted a couple of videos a few weeks ago about the first couple of videos. Also, there was an op-ed piece by Kirsten Powers, and that's not a news reporting. So 6 of the 11 links he sent me were pieces of information and stories done in the last 3 days. You think me calling them kind of embarrassed them? Because I made no qualms about calling and saying, listen, I think this is too stupid to be stupid. That you're doing this because you want to not cover a really ugly, terrible story that doesn't make your ultra-left wacko liberal friends that you identify with look like medical mengalas. You don't want to cover that. 4th video out now, which is some gruesome details on camera, and according to Planned Parenthood, it's highly edited. And listen, I've been in television for most of my career, and I don't see highly edited. I mean, they would be able to take them to court and sue them into next year. And this is the Center for Medical Progress has done these videos, the Center for Medical Progress. And so, I'm asking USA Today, why aren't you covering? Why isn't this front and center? You go on the website, and what's on the front page of the website? Hey, when I looked on the 30th, yep, that's right, Cecil the Lion. Now, this is a terrible story, and I feel bad because this lion was shot by a bow and arrow and took a couple of days to die, but isn't the allegations of removing babies as intact as you can so you can cut their parts up and sell them, isn't the allegations of infanticide and isn't the allegations of criminal wrongdoing, isn't that at least as important as a lion shot by a bow hunter in Africa? This is too stupid to be stupid. There is no journalistic reason. And them saying, here's some links that we covered. You can't find this story on the front page. There are 40 different stories, when I looked, on the front page of the USA Today website under the news section, right? And right at the top, of course, is Cecil the Lion. And there was nothing there for Planned Parenthood or Planned Parenthood allegations of selling baby parts. You had to put that in a search, in their search engine, and look for it on the USA Today. And why am I dogging USA Today? Well, all the mainstream media is way undercovering this huge story. But USA Today calls themselves the nation's news. The nation's news. And they're covering a huge story and burying it on their website and not putting it in their flagship enterprise. And instead, they put a lion being shot as a top story on their enterprise. But the allegations of selling baby body parts doesn't even rank on their front page. Listen, this is my opinion. Okay. They are making a political decision. They should no longer call themselves the nation's news. They should call them the nation's far-left wacko liberal spin. That's what they should call themselves. They should stop masquerading as a news organization, because if I have to tell them about this huge story and why it should be front and center, and hey, they'd make more money because they'd get more clicks and sell more papers. If I have to tell them that this should be a prominent story on their newspaper and they don't do it, the only motivation I can come to for a reason why they're doing this is political. And they've taken a side, and they like the far left, wacko, fringe, abortion type stories that they want to protect no matter what. That's the way I see it. I'm Greg Hunter. Thank you. Oh, one last thing, and I want to bring this in. Hillary Clinton with his email scandal. It's breaking now that she has exposed the U.S. national security. She's exposed it. And I just want you to ponder on this for a minute. You know the story about the Clinton Foundation, all this money? You know where that came from, right? It came from the White House. You know the story about her having her private server, right? You know where that came from. It didn't come from Benghazi hearings and Trey Gowdy. He knew about it. He didn't say anything about it. That came from the White House, too. Those are a couple of big bombs dropped on Hillary Clinton's head. Now, do you think that President Obama is going to want her to be the president and thus also being in charge of the Justice Department when he's a civilian and she's the president? Do you think he may want to stop her from being president? Do you think maybe that because she's exposed the country? General Petraeus just had a stack of papers in his desk, and they almost ruined him. They almost went to jail. You're talking about erasing a private server. We're talking about national security hacking and exposing America's national security. Do you think that President Obama is going to allow her to become president after he's already dropped a couple of huge big bombs on her? I'm not saying he's going to do anything nefarious. I'm just saying ponder this for a while. Do you think he's going to allow her to be the president and thus be able to appoint Attorney General as he appointed Eric Holder, who basically did what president told him to do? Do you think that he's going to allow her to be in the White House after this bitter? There's been books written about this, the bitter blood. I don't know what the book is, but well known that the Obamas hate the Clintons. And remember my prediction. My prediction is she will not be the president of the United States. I don't know what's going to trip her up, but she's not going to be the president of the United States. I just want you to ponder that. That's the way I see it. I'm Greg Hunter. Thank you for supporting USA Watchdog with your comments and your donations. That helps us out. Remember, fear not. Prepare yourself mentally, physically, and above all, spiritually, fear not.